Shalom, YouTube. This morning, been down taking care of the goats, and spent the weekend out in society, whatever. And gotta tell you, looks kind of grim out there. There is a reason that Pastor and I are here. It's very hard to be out with other adults because we're Americans and we're all independent minded, and so without a unifying idea, it's hard to deal with them. I don't think that is by a natural occurrence of events. I think that is definitely by a politicized idea that has infected our society. Yes, we should be independent thinkers. Yes, we should have our own mindset. But we should also have one unifying idea that we can all agree on, so that within it we can have our independence. And I think America tried really hard with the Constitution to guarantee that your right to do certain things does not get squelched, even though right now, societally, people want to do that. I do have a Twitter. It's not for general public. I'm not trying to get a bunch of followers and all that. I just get on there and look at what's going on and how people are reacting to things. And there's a flavor in there to squash thought that is not with liberal thought. There's a move in there to squash patriotic thought. And the deal there is, I gotta fall down on the side of patriotism because of our society and our Constitution. Without it, we would be living in some sort of other, like theocracy or communism or something. And that's not what it's for. Excuse me, that's not what the Constitution is for. The Constitution is for democratic republic. Republic is the key word there, not the democracy. Everybody wants democracy and they talk about it. Democracy is basically mob rule because 51% of the population gets to decide everything for the other 49%. And that can go very badly. Republic allows for these independent states. That's where the true power of our government lies, is in the state's independence, because they can have different flavors. And if you're a person who wants to be in a state where alcohol is harder to get, you go to that state. If you want to be in the state where alcohol is easier to get, then you move to that state. It offers you flavors within the main framework, and that's the brilliance of a democratic republic. Anyway, I'm kind of off topic there. The whole reason for the video is because after having been out in society and just watched and looked and made some observations, wow, okay, I was still thinking we were kind of the country I grew up in. Because I was in the military part of that country for 20 years. I was on bases where, and dealing with soldiers and their families where generally they're conservative, generally they're married, generally they're of childbearing age, and generally they all have similar views on how to bring their children up. A military base is a very orderly place, and it is kept orderly by the military. You have military police who, I won't say squelch, but I mean they are on top of things. And so you don't have a lot of crime, you don't have a lot of misbehavior, you have generally a conformity in the way people dress, talk, and think. And it is a generally peaceful place. Please don't pile on there with, oh my gosh, my dad was a Navy guy and he was always gone and my mom was horrible to me and whatever. I said generally. So that's why I was thinking our society is still kind of like that, because that's what I lived in. And of course I saw outside news and things, but it doesn't really apply to the military. They are an exception within the society because they are the fighters. Now, all the moves, the Clintons, oh my gosh, all their liberal nonsense, the political correctness, and the it takes a village to raise a child, and all sorts of ridiculous ideas that don't work, that you only have to look at the world to see what kind of governments work and which kind of governments don't. And what they proposed were all sorts of things coming from governments that don't treat their people correctly. Hillary Clinton had a women's conference in China where they're still killing female babies, and they've got all these men, and those men are not happy guys, okay? They're dipping down into North Korea to get wives for them because of this ridiculous societal control they had. Anyway, yeah, our society has been socialized and liberalized, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And the people who are crying out for it are too young to understand what a nightmare communist Russia was, and what a nightmare communist China was, and what a nightmare communist Vietnam was. There is a certain amount of the kind of government that Idi Amin ran, where he just slaughters his citizens right and left on the whims. They are out there in the world, and they are not the way to run your country. There's a reason certain countries are still floundering, because they don't have a kind of leadership that allows people to flourish. Because you need a middle class, you need all stratum of society to be successful in order for the whole to be successful. And there's so many, and I'm not a government major, I'm an English major, so I can't give you exact names and everything, but these generalities I talk about are true, and you can read about them in history, and you can look on the news. Why am I saying all this? Because I get now what the MGTOW are doing. There's the society that they were expecting is not the mainstream society anymore, and it's not guaranteed that you will find a mate, and I'm talking of both sexes, who wants to just settle down, raise a family. And again, I'm living in a society outside of that one where people do. And so I'm not going to agree that the way the society outside of me is doing things is the correct way. It's not. I'm going to agree that the society I'm in is doing those 50s style things. But my society, and I've said it many times in the comments, you guys know that, is based on the Bible. And it's not based on religion. It's not based on, oh, I'm a Catholic or I'm a Protestant. It's based on the Bible only. And the closest interpretation of it, and it's not Amish. The Amish are not completely biblical. They have a whole set of other rules called the Ordnung, and that's what they follow. So I'm not talking about that, and I'm not talking about the Jehovah's Witnesses either, because they have a slant towards the end of the world coming, and they've had false prophecies about when that was going to happen. No, I'm talking about just the Bible, the way God intended His creation to live. And so far, it's worked for us, and you know that. Now, I am a single person out of, 325 million, so you cannot apply my life is perfect and everyone should have my life. But as far as the Bible goes, when people follow the Lord, He blesses them. Do you want those blessings in your life? Then follow the Lord. If you're in rebellion against Him, if you deny that He exists, or you say, well, I know He's out there, but I don't want anything to do with Him, He's not going to bless you. That's just the plain and simple of it, and He says that specifically in His Word. So the decision, as always, is up to you, the direction your life goes in. And if it's gone badly, then I'm going to suggest you change the direction. And if you're happy in the direction that you are in, then I suggest that's a better alternative than the one you had before. But I'm still going to say, you want those blessings, you got to get right with God. All right. Shalom.